And we're officially live. Hello there, everyone, and welcome to another Dice Scum Live. This is Adam.
And Greg. Yes, Greg. This is Greg, and not like a brain parasite feasting on his brain flesh and muscle.
And we're officially live. Oh no,
Hello
I
there,
can hear
everyone, and welcome
myself.
to another
Whoopsie
Dice
doopsie.
Scum Live.
How
This
do
is
I
Adam.
fix this? Oh, this is embarrassing. This is absolutely embarrassing. Sorry about that. I had to mute you a bit there, Greg, because I made a horrible mistake.
Oh, are you all? Did your fingers also spasm as well?
No, I forgot that I had our stream in a tab, so you got to hear us twice. Sorry about that, viewers. One of the consequences of doing things live. Speaking of doing things live, let's get where we were previously in the Robotic Age. It's been a while. When last we left off, we actually learned a little bit about a particularly dangerous virus, at least the story of one. And now we're getting into the GM section, aka how to run the game.
Mm-hmm. So if you want to be a player, this is only your first two. Don't be a bad boy and start rating F. Everyone reads these parts.
At least to some degree.
It's also good to read. It's also good for a player to read these GM sections, if only to keep the GM on their toes, so they can't just throw shit at you. And again, the GM's gonna throw shit at you, but just to do it at hazard, at random, and change things around can be bullshit.
Hey, you think you can adjust your mic? I think you're a bit quiet. Just a bit.
Oh no, that should no. I think I just need to adjust my vocal cords. Is that any better?
Somewhat. Actually, let me do
Well,
a little bit of fixing. Wow, this is a very bug-laden stream, everyone. I'm sorry. Very glitchy.
well, with the heat brings out the bugs.
There we go. I think we fixed it.
The heat always draws the bugs in.
So, yeah, what type of game are you running? This is one of the hardest decisions GMs usually have to make. Do you want to create a game where players are stopping crime, or are they creating it? Are they fighting for the rights of all or the rights of some? Are they operating in real world or in cyberspace? And that's one of the things you do have to think about, since this is a fairly grab bag setting. Do you want to play it like you're in the Matrix? Do you want to play it like you're in the aftermath of Terminator? It's up to you. And they go into details about certain campaigns you can kind of work with. These are kind of prompts.
The shell collectors, your private security, and your cyberspace security. All of which would give very different options. Your trip to Mars, or a flashback to World War III. Dealing with human supremacists, or dealing with anti-human supremacists.
Because there are enemy groups, which this is why I think players should read this, because it does give you insight on the base setting if you choose to run it. And there are three major evil factions, I will say. Or at least factions that cause a lot of damage. The first of which is G27, which stands for Genesis 2.7. Originally founded in 2109 by Frank Bot Killer Thomas, G27 started as a small group of people angry that androids were being treated as people instead of machines. How dare you be given rights?
How dare my toaster be allowed? My toaster be allowed to live its own life. I paid for it, damn it!
How dare my toaster cuck me for my wife?
How dare she leave me for my toaster?
How dare my toaster steal my job? Anyway, they felt that God and God alone could create life, and the androids were simply a perversion of true life. They held protests, went on TV, and spread their message of human-only rights to anyone who'd listen. Today, G27's membership is reported to be tens of millions of people worldwide. Members tend to run the entire political spectrum and often hold various religious views. Well, they probably do have naturally religious views, because at the core of it, it's based on an Abrahamic belief. Oh, don't get me wrong. I could see it's like some radical Buddhist sect that just says destroy robots because it doesn't allow you to understand what true suffering is. I mean, do you really know toil if you can just have robots do everything for you?
Mm.
Well, I mean, according to some, I'd say not. Lives have been easier ever since the advent of a variety of simple technologies.
Yes, but also that gave rise to not dying in childbirth, and most people would agree that was a good thing.
Yeah, I'm just pointing out that it doesn't necessarily have to be Christian oriented. You could do whatever variant you want. But G27's kind of vaguely Christian because, well, its founder was.
Hmm.
So let's see. They set aside former rivalries to agree androids are a threat to their way of life. Some members send donations and vote G27 friendly candidates into political office, while others organize rallies and protests or even take it steps further. Publicly denounced by Frank Thomas, the radical members of G27 prefer to take action against the android menace. So these are radicals even by these guys' standards. They
Hmm.
bomb factories, publicly disassemble android hostages, and sometimes openly attack shell collectors or other android groups. And if you're wondering, shell collecting, since we kind of skimmed it, the concept is you're salvaging corpses effectively for money. Or you're dredging through old city ruins if you're going kind of post apocalyptic. Oh, hey, Hempsit. Interesting it's from across the political spectrum. Wonder what the arguments for each side would be. Well, I could
Well,
see the left wing variant be robots take away jobs from people from the worker. Automation's always been a problem, and that's why a lot of early dystopian series were written by from a left wing point of view. Because
or
why
they
pay
could be,
someone when you can have a machine do it?
or I could see some radicals believing that androids, well, just be you should just even be left wing, and also just believe that there is no such thing as artificial intelligent life, and that AI is just a attempt by the corporations to amass even more power.
Yeah, because that's if you can go a little crazier with it with that where AI is fake intelligence made by the corporations to get pliant workers they don't have to pay. That could be something.
Mhm. And votes.
That too, if they're given the vote, well, why do they have to listen to human workers? They could just have they just have the bots vote. And as for the right wing, well, you could do the G27 thing where they see it as a perversion of life, the religious aspect. Or from an economic point of view, you could even argue kind of like at a twisted form of abolition, where you're essentially creating a slave race, and that goes against your morals. Because at the end of the day, robots are assigned a function.
Yeah, which is why they need to be shot and killed.
Yeah, you could actually do it in a twisted moralistic sense, or you could just be they're too bloody expensive. Like we're wasting all of this money. You could do it from a budget hawk point of view.
Or
Robots
you can even
cost,
do it from an economic point of view. They're not environmentally friendly.
yeah, you could do it that way. I feel
Or
like this.
or you could just take the non-political thing and just say these people, some of these people are a bit crazy and just believe that AI is a spook.
Oh yeah, like conspiracy theorists. That's a big element for them, I imagine. Oh hey, Coyote. I feel that this group is the type when you look into it, get astroturfed hard, and now the tiger has slipped the collar. I
Yeah,
think that's the
the
idea.
part of their danger, part of the quote unquote danger is unlike the next group. They actually have they have political soft power to smooth out their image.
Yep, and there's two elements. There's the moderates where if you attack them, that radicalizes them because as far as they're concerned, they're just donating to causes they believe in. They're not actually trying to kill you. They just wish that you stopped taking their jobs, at least according to their mindset, or you stopped essentially storming in that not in my backyard thing. Like you can have those kind of fair weather guys that you have to worry about because at the end of the day, they're not breaking any laws, those ones. And even the more hardline ones might not be breaking any laws, or at the very least know really good lawyers if they do. But then there's the radical ones where they take pride in being human and they'll legitimately intentionally mutilate cyborgs or rip pieces out of humans if they've cybered up a bit.
Yeah,
There's a bit of
they read
hypocrisy here.
Frankenstein and they've read Frankenstein and they took it maybe just a tad too seriously.
Although, here's the thing, G27's massively hypocritical because they have no problems with using drones, support units, or exosuits, all of which have
Eh,
developed a series of AI.
it's only when you start acknowledging its rights, its right to live and speak and other things that it becomes a problem. When they're slaves, it's fine.
See, the
Because remember,
radicals,
this is G27 only actually like it might be full of it, but it only began when the AI start developing like free will, quote unquote free will.
well, for the second time, and it's also around the
Yeah,
time they were starting to be given rights.
yeah. It's a reactionary movement, not a like in the most literal sense. It's a reactionary movement.
Yeah, it's in reaction to AI and them getting off their robo plantations.
Hmm. Yeah, that if anything, there's probably a lot of them that want the AI back on the plantation.
Oh yeah, that's why they use drones. So using
Yeah.
G27 in your games, with their seemingly endless supply of weapons, drones, and members, a hit squad can appear kind of pretty quickly, ready to fight for human rights. And Preston, the guy writing this, the guy who created this series, he believes that they're an interesting challenge because they're all human, so they're actually fairly frail because of this. So individually, yeah, you can smash them, but they're very popular. And if you
Hmm.
smash them apart, you've created martyrs, and there's going to be more of them.
Yeah.
Now, what I think
Also,
Preston forgets is the other threat is political. They have a lot of influence in power and in business.
well, yes, it's not to mention the legal replications for androids. The one that's not just political, but like legally.
So, yeah, G27's kind of interesting if you really like spamming trash mobs, or if you want to deal with a more political kind of game where you
Hmm.
have maybe corrupt or even not corrupt politicians actively hindering your life. And you have to try to figure out ways to get around that.
Also, there's another thing for those things with the thing. Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a reason why robots get to be used in kids shows to get slashed up instead of humans. It's one thing an android can theoretically be put back together. You know, a Humpty Dumpty can be put back together. A human being, when they get splattered into little bits, there's not coming back from that.
Technically, yeah. And this is represented mechanically because it's been a while, and to just remind people, androids, cyborgs, and I
So
forget
long as the inner core,
the
so long as
uploaded.
yeah, so long as the androids or what was the other
They have
one?
their
The one,
physical shell, their physical body, and then they have their core integrity.
yeah.
Their physical, which humans also have, if they go to zero, yeah, their body's broken beyond repair and they're trapped in it, and they might be powered down. A human goes down to zero physical, yeah, they're just dead.
Yeah, also, if a human gets their arm vaporized by a laser, they're just probably going to die.
Yep.
If a cyborg got their metal arm lasered off by an android, ow, but no harm. But I can get that replaced. Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah,
So that's
they're
kind
a
of
bit.
G27. Up next is Met, which is Mavericks if you file the numbers off.
Remember all the androids at the end of World War III. Remember how they didn't hesitate to throw our kind away the moment we weren't useful? If you ever think the humans can be trusted, then remember the decommissioned.
And they're not wrong. In lore, there were quite a few androids that became self-aware during the war that were just wiped, completely destroyed. And that's the thing about Met. On the surface, you can understand where they're coming from. Especially since G27 is particularly popular among humans, they have political influence. It can be scary to artificial life. But then you see what they do to dissenters. We actually saw that in part 1 when we read about them. When dealing with an android that told them, yeah, no thank you, I'm not joining your crazy cult, they killed him and guaranteed that nothing remained. In fact, actually, that reminds me, they go into this. Extreme members of G27 do think there's a conspiracy, and they're not wrong. Met has been around ever since, well, artificial life became sentient. Preacher Bot from Futurama has to be in this faction, probably.
Their goal is to make the world a better place for androids, even if that comes at on the backs of humankind. They seek out and
Mavericks.
recruit any androids. who feel rejected or beaten down by the human-run world. The rare transhuman may be allowed to join the organization, but they are thoroughly vetted. Every time the G27 bombs a factory, an Met agent is there to clean up the debris, talk to survivors, and find a recruit. When Met feels ready, its armies will rise from their bunkers and crush humanity under their iron boots. They're terror.
They are a group of terrorists, legitimately.
Where G27 is, well,
There's
it's not.
terrorists among their numbers, but at the end of the day,
I
they're
was going
more
to.
of a reactionary party.
I would say that actually this might be, you might disagree, but I feel the best summation or best way to describe them is they have the same position as the KKK and several other white supremacist groups had during the Civil Rights era. Meanwhile, these
Partially
guys
correct.
are
If you said
these
it was like
guys
the
are
1920s Klan, you'd be dead
yeah
correct. That's how influential
yeah
G27 is.
yeah. Well,
You're completely
I was more
correct.
talking. I was not talking about the political. I was more talking about the political situation in the case that there's an active, like, fight for rights, where in the 1920s that wasn't really happening.
True.
But yeah, in power sense, yeah.
60s
Meanwhile,
KKK with 20s influence.
yeah. Meanwhile, these androids here, they're well, obviously to use a thing, more, well, not to use that thing, they're more accurately Islamic terrorists recruiting from all those villages that the Americans may have accidentally dropped a drone on a little too close to.
Yeah, at least they're picking on people that have reasons to hate them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the big difference. One is reactionary hate group. This one is actual terrorism.
Mm-hmm.
And they're
Yeah.
pretty good about avoiding people knowing about them, since they make a habit of even killing their own cells off if they've been outed.
Mm-hmm. And no, to the degree that not even a lot of leaders even really understand who's in charge.
Well, yeah, if they know who's in charge, you can just pull the plug, and that's not what they want.
Their style of organization is to keep the whole safe. Every human, or near human as they like to call cyborgs, who knows what Emmet is a threat. If one cell is ever discovered, the rest cut all connections with it so it does not expose them. In extreme cases, they might destroy it before it threatens the organization. Of course, these extreme cases, because humans who discover Emmet are found dead within a few days, androids who reject the invitation go missing, becoming empty shells to be used by fallen recruits. Oh yeah, I forgot. That's actually part of
Sleeper
the thing where
agents,
they said,
yeah.
like, we'll find a use for you. So that's what they meant. They hollow out the androids for when, I guess, one of their recruits loses all their hard armor.
Well, no, what they do is, this is actually more insidious, and it makes sense if you're making a terrorist group of robots. What they do
Oh,
is
thanks.
they'll either intentionally reprogram you, which that's only temporary, or what's more often the case, at least here, which makes sense, you destroy the core of the original construct and then shove an agent's core into it as a Manchurian candidate,
Yeah,
where
that's what I meant.
they're a sleeper agent.
Mm-hmm. That's what I meant. The organization protects itself from all threats, and even has its own separate part of the internet.
Yeah, they control the dark web. So
And
yeah,
these guys, I was gonna say, where G27 can essentially will burn down your house. Will send a hate mob to burn down your house, and then have snipers in the back, in the backyard to shoot you down as you leave that as you try and run away. These guys. These guys will frame you for kitty porn, chase you out of town, and then you'll disappear.
they're also noticeably better equipped and a
Well,
lot
I think
harder
it's
to
just
put down.
because despite their being incredibly disorganized, they're a lot more unified with their operas mandi.
They all know that they're going to overthrow and kill all humans slash enslave them.
They're all ready for the race war, the literal race war.
The Boogaloo. And then we get this group, which I think we've only learned a little bit about because there was the story we did in part 2 with that lady. Chosen of the First Mind.
You don't always feel her, but you know she's there, watching you. It's actually kind of comforting knowing she's watching you. It means you have a skill you can be proud of. It means you can be of some use to her.
So, yeah, literal Hivemind. Let's get into this. So, one of the early experiments with transhumanism was by a particular lady named Anaya Patel. She experimented with the mind upload, and it went horribly wrong. went horribly wrong
She died physically.
physically, and she was acting psychotic before then. But she didn't die mentally. She was uploaded to cyberspace and became a hive mind.
Yeah, upload is probably a bit strong. It's more accurately her mind was spread across cyberspace.
Shattered apart into bits because this is early transhumanistic an attempt to create transcend the body transhumanism. This is a failed prototype of what actually succeeded. And yeah, what she does is she eventually starts eating other minds and absorbing them. Yeah, she's basically a living sentient virus blob monstrosity in the net. And as
Hmm.
for how First Mind works, it doesn't seem to be a cult. It just seems to be an individual threat.
Well, there is a bit of a threat because, as I mentioned here,
Oh, there is
she
a cult.
was kind of neutered. She was kind of neutered when humans eventually took up the Avatar system because since they put essentially a break between themselves and cyberspace, she couldn't directly infiltrate them. The androids, though, they're still susceptible to her presence.
Also, I'm looking and yep, using First Mind. She can't affect things directly in the real world, so instead she created a cult, a literal hive mind cult, where
Mhm.
she
Of
picks
androids,
on
particularly.
desperate for attention, desperate for companionship people and androids,
Yeah, because they're the ones she can touch. The humans are locked off from her due to their avatars.
and she rewards them by eating them.
And of course, there's some idiots that probably think they can usurp it, but no.
Well, yeah. And as for the things she can do, she can change and alter text and audio of anything in cyberspace.
So what you're seeing may not be real.
She can also detect if you have corruption, which remember, if you do things outside of your parameters, like if you just start murdering people or you start doing things that cause stress to your body and mind, that's called corruption. She can instantly detect people that are corrupted.
And they know, and in this case, androids. These androids will instantly feel her watching you.
Imagine what robot Pole would be. Instead, I think that might be Emmet Met to a degree. The only difference
Corruption
is they took up the
manipulation.
title of the Golem of Prague.
hmm Corruption manipulation. She instantly knows. Well, she knows where the corruption is. She can also give you corruption.
Yeah, so she could just drive you crazy. And last but not least, she uses viruses as her agents in the cyberspace. So that lady who ate that one robot probably was her, or at the very least, an agent of her. So
Then there's just other things going on, like the war bots.
yeah, because again, there was still aftermath of World War III, so there's still some leftover stock.
Think fuck, who's that Cyber 77? Who's that cyberpunk really famous Borg?
Atom Smasher, I don't think really
Yeah.
works for this one.
Yeah, well, I know in the case I'm just, well, obviously because he was human, but I'm just imagining this giant monster, this giant mechanical monster. That's what a warbot would look like essentially.
Rogue drones, which yeah, even drones can be programmed and go bad. This is based more on, in my opinion, this one's more based on the mechanoids from Mega Man X, basically the dumb AI going rogue.
hmm Separatists, people who for some reason refuse any sort of conciliation between the two sides of America and will do amazing things just to let it never happen.
Yep, and
Generic viruses that have nothing to do with the hive mind, because they also exist.
yeah, so if you want, you could just have one of the enemies just be, I don't know, the rubber duck virus, which just infects you and makes you hallucinate
No,
squeaking
no, it's
noises.
Bonzi Buddy. No, it's Bonzi Buddy. Bonzi Buddy still lives.
Yeah. And last but not least, core thieves. Basically, it's similar to the shell seekers, the shell bounty hunters, where they go and trawl over wreckages of battle sites or ruins to find corpses to kind of fix and then sell. These guys do it, but with the core, because remember, core units actually provide a lot of power. So they'll just do the equivalent of human trafficking with robots, and then just plug them into the matrix effectively as batteries.
And then there's just gangbangers.
Yeah, gangsters,
Gang.
just very common gangbangers.
Some are cybers, some are androids. They can be anything.
From Coyote. So let's see, RoboCop, Mooks, Skynet without central AI, and the digital thing. Yeah, that's pretty fair. Also, yeah, immediately thinking Ed 209. Imagine Ed 209, but less garbage. I was thinking more like the Terminator series. In fact, actually, Terminator Salvation series with like the T600s.
Building enemies for your players to fight can be more of an art than a science. Honestly, that's pretty true. Every good villain is different, with some combat heavy, others and some non-combat or just general upgrades. One group might have weaker rapid fire weapons, while another has one-shot cannons. There's no wrong way to build a group, but it does make building enemies more difficult. Don't worry though; it's much easier with the boost below.
Yeah, this is.
Uh,
I like that Preston gives the new GM this idea because, yeah, ultimately designing your big bad evil guys or the evil group or just the opposition that your players have to deal with, it can change depending on game and it can change depending on what the players play like or just on group. And this is there to help you. I like that he points that out. Not every book I've ever read has done that.
mhm. Also, he begins with the first rule: the enemies cheat.
Yup.
They don't. They shouldn't have the same stat. They shouldn't have the same. They are not bound by the same stats and requirements of building a character as you do.
So if you feel like cheesing the game, like this is actively saying, yeah, you don't have to actually build them on equivalent level. You can just build them however you want.
And if you want to give your players an experience, like in this instance, do you prefer your enemies to be tricky and hard to get a beat on? Then give them upgrades of all kinds to see your figure out to see a way to bring them down. Or do you prefer enemies that seem tough but aren't actually a threat? Then just give them essentially means to mitigate your player's offense, but give them also a low offense by make sure they don't hit hard.
Or alternatively, you go with kind of the Achilles heel concept, or if we're talking video games, the big glowing fuck me light.
Mm-hmm.
Where they seem tough in every way, but there's like a one little weakness that a smart player can spot out and just break.
Also, your enemies will generally be better equipped.
I mean, unless you're
And
specifically kitting yourself up for war, almost certainly.
mm-hmm. But yeah, it's no. But yeah, in general, if you bring a pistol, the enemy should bring an SMG. If you brought an assault rifle, they should bring an auto shotgun.
Essentially, because the characters you play do vary quite a bit. Like, yeah, you can be Billy Badass, the military robot, but you're probably fighting, say, a psychotic gang. They probably do have illegal firearms beyond what you, as the former combat robot, have, since they have
Mm-hmm.
ties to the black market.
Power drain.
Also, if you're
Giving
if
it.
you're a robo fry cook, like you made a robot SpongeBob, let's be fair. Your spatula, your mono blade spatula is kind of badass, but you're fighting a robot ninja with a sword that like can whip out 20 feet. Like,
Power
let's be fair.
drain as a weapon enchantment for enemies. This attack can leech power from its target to use it to heal its user. If the attack hits, the attacker heals structure damage equal to a quarter of the total damage done, rounded up. This should be used sparingly unless you want to drag out a fight.
Or if you want the people to be, or if you want your
Suffer.
players to just hate you.
Corruption as a weapon element.
Now this one's fine for viruses, I think.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't really make sense for the regular pistol, though.
Unless you have like a mad scientist, like the
Well,
leaders of
in
mad
this case,
scientists.
corruption can only be found on energy weapons and is almost always found on viruses or first mind chosen. Whenever you get hit by this, or when you take damage from it, increase your corruption by 1. Anyone trying to use assimilate on corruption elements, and the person receives 5 core damage and more corruption. So, who would have thought trying to absorb pure corruption is bad?
Oh, and they even give you ideas like here's the general upgrade, Mook. They use half normal structure and core. Basically, you use this if you want them to be a trash mob.
Uh-huh. Yeah, just don't go into like yeah, they're there to die.
Yeah, this is to make sure that the fights don't drag because unless you're playing making them human characters, these guys are pretty durable because you have to break their body and then their core to make them stop.
Rival, give them double structure and core. This is
Is
for
for your
your
big
this is
bad
for the
guys.
antagonist. This is more accurately for the antagonists.
Martian Charge Technology Weapon Upgrade. Developed on Mars for use in low oxygen, Martian Charge technology increases the power output. It's a charge weapon. It's the fucking charge weapon from Mega Man. It
Martian crystal reinforcement. Discovered on Mars and refined with under low gravity, Martian crystals absorb heat as astounding rates without cracking. With the right application, reinforcing a weapon with Martian crystals increases the output of overcharged outputs.
So this allows you to overload your weapon and not receive any damage to it.
I'm charging my laser. The
Oh,
Martian
that old
upgrades.
meme.
It's an old one, sir, but it checks out.
Yeah,
The Martian upgrades can dramatically increase a character's power level, taking both a power level 5 weapon and giving them level set 9 attack with just one round of charging.
yeah,
Because
because
of
you don't
this,
have to blow
do
your
not
load.
give these to your non-bosses.
Unless you choose to give it to like one guy, like one mook, just to make them remember that guy as just the biggest pain. But yeah, you
Enemies
don't
come
give
at
them to
all
all of them.
enemies come at all sizes. They can be your enemies can be anything. Yeah,
Yep, there's the
this
little
is just
guys, just little midgets.
They're just examples with simplified stats.
Yep. Don't you want to fight? Don't you want to fight dog walker drones? They're robot dogs programmed by G27.
I don't want to fight a worm though.
Tra- oh no, I noticed that the first two are based on Mega Man enemies. One of them is based on one of the dogs from Mega Man, and the tracker bats are based on those weird bat things from X. Help
Actually, here,
me.
hey, in medium, they actually give stats for all three of the quote unquote enemy factions. Mooks.
So here's your human cultists.
They got no style, no class,
Yeah.
and shotguns.
And here's the Emmet shock troopers, which are tough.
Significantly tougher. Significantly.
Yep. And then Trojan of the first mine. So these are viruses you can run into in cyberspace, since they look fairly normal.
At least until their jaws distend and they try to eat you.
You know, thinking about it, this system seems to be a really good pick for a police SWAT team campaign. Oh yeah, I honestly think you could easily use the system for a variety. It's a very much a grab bag if you want to do like near future or sci-fi stuff. So if you want to do just SWAT, you could totally do it. Although I
Oh, I
will
guess.
note that you probably want to play around with how much structure you give them and have that represent like body armor they have.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if you
First
wanted
up,
to just create SWAT, you could.
first up on the big enemies, a fucking tank.
Well, yeah, don't you want to fight a tank? I do.
Fighting style. The tank has a fighting style, and here's the stats for the war drone, as well as an image here for what I'm assuming is supposed to be the worm of the first mind. Considering
No, I
that's
think this is the macro virus as mentioned.
maybe yeah,
Oh, I love that. I love the little design of this guy.
404.
That's cute. That's really cute. Also, the Emmet War Golem. I like the virus worm. That's really clever. And bosses,
And
because again, remember, Preston kind of borrowed a lot from everything, but like me, he's a big dork and loves Mega Man, so of course they're called bosses.
G27, the high speaker, clad in exosuit, because human pride is such a thing. When you go into giant battle against androids, maybe put on a war suit.
I mean, it does make you stronger than most robots. So, and if your goal is to punch all the robots, you probably want something like that on hand.
And it doesn't require you to stick anything in your flesh.
Yeah, it's just ride armor or the suits from It's the suits from Starship Troopers. They have the Sword of Michael, power level 3, fire element. It's a flaming sword, and the voice of God. They can scream at you. Oh, that's
Also,
cute.
well, this is just the exosuit, which means I think these things have been produced by G27 for their for like certain high-ranking members.
Oh yeah, this is specifically for people who like are out to just murder robots for like let's say they have a bunch of crazy robots killing people. You send this out to look good on the camera. Or if you're a
Hmm.
radical, you bust this out when no one's looking so you don't look bad. This is like
Finally,
everything's falling apart, so just throw this right out there.
and finally, for how to deal with antagonists, there should be only one antagonist per campaign. For the record, campaign doesn't mean entire game. It just means like campaign usually means like one long plot.
Since I'm using Mega Man, because of course I am, I have to. An antagonist example would be Dr. Wily, the
Finally,
evil mad scientist man. And your bosses would be the robots he built to kick your teeth in. Or if we're going with, let's go with RoboCop since it's been brought up a couple times. Vice President Dick would be your antagonist. He had 209 and Bodiger. Those would be your bosses. Essentially, one guy is maybe the boss of that arc, the final guy of that arc. This guy is the final guy of your campaign. Or at the very least, that season, or
that's
however
evil.
you want to
Oh, that's
divide it.
evil. So look at how he determines how an antagonist should be given health. They first off they should do it the normal way with 100 times the highest power, but add an additional amount of equal to 50 times the highest rapid attack from your players.
That's a little clunky, but I get why they're doing it.
Give them scaling health depending on what the players are
Just so
riding
the
in.
players can't just yeet
Instant
them.
nuke.
It's pretty clear that Preston thought through this to make sure that players just cannot cheese a boss instantly. Which I can
They should be.
understand. I can understand to some
Mhm.
degree.
Antagonists should always be fought alone and with no restrictions on power level or enhancements.
So you could
It
just
is a
have
good
them do whatever you want.
it is a good idea to give them both Martian technology enhancements.
Yeah? Also give them all sorts of amazing things.
Here's an example of an antagonist, Met himself.
Has the silhouette of a human encased in metal, while others claim he looks more like the embodiment of android kind. Rumor says he has a half dozen bodies he can switch between, so he can be many places at once. One thing all recruits can agree on is there's no force on the planet Earth that could destroy him.
Weapons,
Until
I
now.
beam. His weapons are I beams and a blaster array.
Yeah, I imagine it's just like a bunch of screw you lights on his body.
Hmm. Finally, enemies are unpredictable. These are all, everything have just been guidelines.
This
You
is
don't
just
have to follow
Preston
them.
saying if you're having trouble because your players are murking all your enemies too quickly, here's ways that you can fix this. Or if they're struggling too much, well, maybe have the amount of health they have because they're mooks.
Hmm. If
Like
an
it's
enemy
just
is
giving
too strong
ideas.
for your group, then decrease its values to ensure your players aren't immediately slaughtered.
Yeah.
For instance, you could have a big you could don't you or you can pair things like for instance a medium tank with his two medium a tank with his medium backup
Hey, you don't
or
need
a
like a
little
swarm of
swarm.
tanks. You could just have like a couple
Hmm.
and then a bunch of garbage.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah,
incredibly
as
easy to build a machine of death that destroys all your players, but that would miss the point. Yeah, you want the players to potentially be killed, but they should also quite easily be able to win, if you get what I mean. You want to have challenge and threat, but not to the point where it kills fun. And Preston gets this. And here's
uh,
a quick roll chart. If you just don't feel like if you just feel like crapping on an enemy, you roll on this D100, and This will tell you what weapon type they got.
And finally, and then moving on to how to, after the battle, give you rewards and experience.
Yeah, because you're murdering these guys for some reason other than just to feel dopamine as you
Mhm.
crush the life out of your foe.
Experience is handed out at the end of each session in the form of character points. Players spend these character points as they do during character creation. It's gained through three ways: your general, your battle, and your performance. General experience is for doing things.
Yeah, like if you just
Various
show up, you gain 1 CP. For community, if you bring something to the game that helps everyone, like extra dice oh, that's cute. I like that.
court. Uh, if any of your characters gain 2 CP, if any one of your characters' court caused trouble or was important to the
It's
session.
like how you get a beat point in the Chronicles of Darkness if you critically fail.
hmm It's to give you motivations to actually participate in the game and not just be. Let's be fair. We all probably known or have been that person. It's happened once where you're just kind of in the corner, not saying anything on your maybe even on your phone.
Or you're just looking at something and all you hear is because at that point in that moment you don't really feel like being there, but you're just doing it out of obligation. Like this is to prevent you from being stuck in the I'm sitting there and I'm just hearing Charlie Brown parents noises.
Crowning moment if you do something unexpected and helpful. For instance, coming up with a unique strategy or tactic, or managing think a way out of think the way out of your GM's plans.
I will say that making people laugh should not necessarily reward you character points. Hence why he'd said that it had to be a tactic or something in game. Because
I think that'd
otherwise
be
you'll
more
have players
appropriate
that
for
just
quirky.
intentionally become clowns.
Yeah, that's more quirky. But campaign milestone, and 5 for every completed story arc, major event, or milestone.
So if your character accomplishes a goal, you get 5 points. If you manage
Or
to drop kick Dr. Wily into a burning airplane as he falls to his
8.
death,
That's 8 points.
yeah.
Beat the campaign, and that was pretty memorable.
If you manage to defeat the evil robot by talking it to death like Captain Kirk and getting it stuck into a paradox loop,
hmm
that's also 5 or 8, depending on how you reward.
Coyote likes them, but and then there's battle experience. There's a lot of text here, but it just kind of boils down to
Every
each
time
player
you
should get.
murder a guy, here's what you get.
Mhm. Defeat could mean this is when you defeat enemies. You don't have to kill them because God knows there are some fucking players who for some reason don't understand that you don't have to murder everything to get the EXP.
I'm just envisioning like there's a group of G27. They're not even radicals. They just were inspired by a speech, so they're causing a bit of trouble. And just one of the robot players is like, I go down the line and I start blasting them with shotgun rounds. But we surrender, yeah.
How much EXP do I get, GM?
And you give them the XP. Let's be fair. You do give them the XP. But then next session, you bring up another rally speech which talks about the martyred folks who died doing God's work.
Thing which, little creatures, players should only get 1 CP for every group of ones you kill because
Based on how
one
many players.
individual.
So if you like have 4 players, if you kill 4 little guys, you get 1.
hmm A medium grants 1. Big gets 5. A boss is 15, and the antagonist should give 30.
So technically drop kicking Dr. Wily into an exploding airplane, that's like 35 points.
38, remember, because it's a crowning moment.
Yeah, it's a crowning moment. You drop kicked an old man into an exploding airplane.
And then performance. This isn't determined by the GM, but by the players. At the end of session, the players vote. Apparently,
Who in each
just
group represented each award, even themselves. And you're the tiebreaker if it's needed.
the most valuable, the MVP, the best role player, and the pity. Ooh.
Oh, that's mean.
Well, it's just like who. It's not like who was the worst player, but who got the worst luck. Because Adam, I think you know sometimes how it feels when
Oh,
the
I'm
dice just
aware.
don't like you that session.
I'm aware, but I'm not the only person who deals with it. So in our group, I'm one of the guys that tends to get a little tetchy when the dice try to be unfair. In that, let's say I'm playing a D percentile game, and that's 1 out of 100. Let's say I have a skill that is consistently in the 60s. So three times out of 5, I should succeed on that skill, right? Well, let's say I roll it like 10 times and I've only succeeded once. You can kind of understand why I'm a bit tilted.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the only one. I'm like one of everyone to some degree, but like I'm one of the 3 that tend to notice it quickest.
Rewards. If you're feeling generous, or maybe because it's point of the plot,
No,
you
no,
can
no.
also
Before
give
we
up.
do, check out that chainsaw axe.
I mean, it's pretty neat.
Bowling ball mace.
Did you also know with the bowling ball, it's got a face on it?
Yeah. I also like the grabbing stick of pain.
I like the hammer with rockets on the end.
Oh, that's beautiful. This is beautifully stupid, and I love it. Oh, also the nuclear squirt gun. It's the atomic squirt gun. Watch out, y'all. Oh, no, no, no. There's also the jet turbine buster sword. Ah, man, it gives me Cyberpunk 2020 vibes. If you ever seen the old drawings of the weapons from Cyberpunk 2020, it has that same vibe.
Anyway, rewards can be anything from specific upgrades to a permanent power level increase to a skill. The only real rule is that they should be predetermined. Don't make a table for these. When the group rescues an artifact, he should share his knowledge. When you raid a G27 weapons base, you should get an enhancement to a weapon. When someone gets chosen by the first one and now they get corruption now, and they get the corruption element.
Imsit 40K's chain axe looks a bit more practical. Well, yeah, it does. The chain axe looks a lot better than that.
Yeah, it's also because this is all very cartoony.
Yeah, it's a cartoony kind of my first anime drawing style. It's supposed to be goofy.
I mean, dude, did you not notice the fucking face, the frowny face drawn on the hammer?
Also, did you not see the evil bad guy with the mohawk and like the dynamite heady style face? Like
No
it's
gold.
goofy.
No gold. If you players have ever played a role-playing game before, you're probably used to getting money. From gold to gems to even credits, sometimes you just need to kill one orc to afford a shiny new sword. This isn't how you purchase weapon in Robotic Age, though. Your players' characters have money. They use it to buy their entertainment, their places to live, and even their food. But they never need to use money to improve their character. Money
I
is for day-to-day living.
I kind of disagree, but I also agree with the mindset.
Money is for surviving, not for combat. Money should be handled in character, with each character considered to have enough to get by at any time, unless they take poor as a quirk.
So money just it doesn't exist. You get your money, you get your stuff by murdering and looting them, which
Actually, I'm drawing a comparison to White Wolf again. They have a thing
oh
for
yeah, that's how
remember
resources work.
for resource essentially. If as long as you have two resources, like you just put aside little things from your character built up, and yeah, you don't gotta fucking seriously worry about stuff or even like the GM. Like, okay, you've got three resources. Yeah, you can afford to splurge on like buying like shitty military surplus.
So here's actually a mission slash adventure hook that they come up with. They actually covered
Scenario.
this. This was in one of the previous stories where they talk about the last of the real ground beef because in this future it's all vat grown, which means they finally figured out the problem of actual vat grown meat, which is whenever people take a bite out of it, they find it absolutely fucking disgusting. So the setup is as droughts grew harsher in the mid 2000s, the land able to support cattle grew smaller, which led to a rise in vat-grown synthetic beef. Prices of real beef by the pound are much more than your average person can spend on a single meal. There's a few places that still sell real beef, and the San Monto Mega Corporation owns 6 of them. And over the past few weeks, a group of them have been attacked and their cows stolen. And that's where you come in. You're being hired by the corpos to look after their cattle. And they go into details about it. I love how this ranch is just a death fortress. It's a 2,000-acre fortress. Oh, that's cute. And yeah, it's just going into detail. You meet the ranch guy named Eddie. He's just the bald guy. He gives you a quick tour of the Death Fortress. The cows are directed by flying drones because, dogs are too expensive. Why get a dog to herd cattle when you can get a drone? Oh, they shock the cows. Oh well, this is the not so good future, but also the not so bad future. Oh, that's the thing. That's
It,
the drill thing from the story.
it's the current future.
There's currently a bunch of cattle and bull, which is inside this automated ranch, and then they go into details about the attack. This is the big guy that you got to fight.
It is quite literally a big guy.
This system is like looking at someone in the 90s thinking of the 2020s based on mid 80s nostalgia. Yeah, Coyote, because what happened is Preston took a bunch of stuff like RoboCop, Matrix, Mega Man, as mentioned, Transformers, iRobot, some Asimov works, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep. You name a sci-fi thing, Total Recall. You name something from sci-fi from like the 80s and 90s, and that's probably something he used at some point. It's a Blender setting, and I think it works out pretty well. Oh, they also go into detail about the cattle and like how there's a death clock. One of the cow one of the cows actually starts to fist fight the robot, which is pretty glorious. I love that. You actually have to fist fight a bull if you beat the robot back to it. That's kind of neat. Receiving room. This goes into details. I think where do you go in here? You go into the tunnels and yeah, you find just a little hidden area. The bull hallway, which is a giant slaughterhouse. Then there's the cow hallway. Oh, and here's the little dungeon map. So you go into the tunnel and here's everything.
I'm definitely gonna say this is a better map than the last map we just looked at.
Oh yeah. Let's be fair. Compared to the original Chalt one that we did a while back, it's slightly better. The encounters are nowhere near as awful.
Still shit.
Let's go see the killing floor. Yeah, that's the bull. That's the bull run and the cow run. Oh, and also they tell you at this point, yep, it's Emmett Met. You're running into an Emmett Met shock trooper. This is a big scheme they have. And then you get attacked by bats. Look at these robo bats that are clearly inspired by Mega Man. I think they're called Batoons or something really silly.
Also, I'm gonna say this as a bonus thing because once again, sorry, Charles just on our mind, but putting the map before they show all the things so you have an idea of where the fucking encounters go is so much better than just listing the encounters
I know,
and then
yeah,
showing the map.
yeah. It actually like it goes to the ranch and it starts with it goes a little bit, but then they show it early enough that you're only at the cow and bull corridor and control room by the time you get there. Like, yeah, I think maybe it could have been shoved a little bit further ahead, but it's in an area where it's not too out of the way. Because let's just say we've seen Chalt and the dungeons so far, all the maps are at the end of all the descriptions, so it becomes a lot harder to navigate.
Also, I think the last page of this scenario is a picture of what an Emmett Met soldier looks like.
Oh yeah, if you ever want to see your robot supremacists, this is what they look like. I think he just came off the steps of a Daft Punk album, and the only thing he knows how to do is kill. This android dreams of electric sheeps, but the sheeps he's shooting. But it's not Gonzo. I don't know. Don't you think finding about the secret cattle abduction by robot supremacists, doesn't that seem kind of goofy? But doesn't it also feel kind of plausible? Because
The
in the
sun
future,
rises.
yeah, in the future, there's not a lot of beef, so yeah, you defend cattle pretty hard. And robot supremacists, if you have control over the beef market, that's money you can fund to your kill all humans initiative.
Mhm.
The sun is rising as the
It's
group reaches the
goofy,
surface.
but there's an internal logic here that isn't there in fucking Chalt. And if you want kind of gonzo, I recommend, I think it's called, what is it? ASE, Alien Subsurface Environment, which is what Chalt tries to rip off.
The security upgrades have arrived, as well as ranch workers, but no one knows what happened to Eddie Dallas. The group is paid either way, but they get a bonus if they manage to not lose any cattle and can live it up for the next month. If
My,
info from the control room was ever retrieved or the base remains intact, they are able to go back and find someone to translate what they got. It shows that Emmett has hit 4 cattle ranches in the last month, all owned by Sam Monto. They've been stealing the cattle, harvesting them, and then selling them for profit. The buyers' names are all pseudonyms, but the info was stored. But it's clear there are only 3 names on the list, with each buying almost an entire ranch worth of cows. Only a dozen so
Where's the
people in the
blatant
world
pop
wield it.
culture references? Here they are. It's the Mega Man bats. They just actually are uniquely distinct compared to the actual ones, which have funny faces.
Only a dozen or so people in the world can be able to afford that kind of expense.
Well, yeah, a pound of beef in this timeline, they actually go into it in the story arc before that, like in one of the written stories. In that arc, they mentioned that a pound of beef costs like $30,000.
So being
So,
able to buy
yeah.
a whole cows and dozens of them.
You have to be Jeff Bezos rich, yeah. Up
Yeah,
here's another quest.
billionaires and multi-millionaires are funding robot terrorism because they want to eat the fucking cow.
Well, I think the robot terrorists are hiding their involvement in it specifically, so it's not as obvious what they're funding.
I know, but it's still funny.
It's pretty great, yeah. And here's a longer quest. They go into details. This is how a cyberspace mission might go.
You've got to help a gamer.
You have to help the gamer. They go into details about the character, Lestan Petit, a super hacker and avid gamer. They found the first mind.
But he had a much better idea of, instead of reporting it, make his own first mind to control his own viruses with.
And it made the crazy Indian chick's shattered consciousness angry. So she decided to get revenge.
Has fled to his favorite massively multiplayer online game, Sorcerers by the Sea.
Oh, this is how you can do kind of goofy fantasy elements, I think. And this is actually, I think this is tying into Reboot a bit here. Like kind of that same style.
Oh, and that's the thing. To get the first mind is what gets the players. They pretend to be the police and post rewards to capture the virus.
Well, yeah, because this stupid griefer, this 17-year-old edgelord, is
Has
destroying his
taken
own
over
game.
an MMO. Yeah, taken over an MMO.
Oh god, this is turning into sword art, and it's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you're
Your
given
bounty
bounty
hunter.
from the first mount, and here's the map of the game. Unfinished castle. Look, we all know sorcerers are the devs' favorite class, but that doesn't mean they're OP. I know Death Legion has tons of skirmishers and sneaks that are just as useful as sorcerers. I bet there are dozens of guilds that can say the same.
Fuck off, less done.
Once the group has decided who will equip the location tracker, and then you play the. Oh, and they even give some details on the characters that you have to play. Looking like all the quests, if there's a third one, are bad guy faction introductions. Yep, this is First Mine, who's disguised as a good guy. There's probably one for G27 as well. And they give you details on each area. So part 1, you start at the port city on the map. Also, again, don't you like how, unlike Chalt, you actually know where you are in the map because it's given
Once
fairly
inside,
early?
once anyone call any call. Oh, once characters have been inside the Coliseum, they will not be offered any more trial passes and have to wait in line to re-enter, just like anyone else. Any calls of noob from the waiting at line towards characters using the pass are highly appropriate.
Where's the... Oh, you skipped past down here?
Oh, sorry, I thought that was right over.
They abandoned my. I'm not very smart, so I
No,
sometimes
I'm
listen.
reading Sorcerer of the Sea where they're talking about how you get in.
Ah, here we go. Yep. Any calls
With
of new from this
popularity,
waiting?
there's a
Yeah.
queue to get into the MMO.
Oh, that's a slight nod to World of Warcraft back in the day, where you had to wait like 20 minutes. I never touched WoW, but I remember reading a variety of stories and experiences of people where, yeah, if you logged out, you had to wait for quite a while.
Also, funny thing, if you were doing Cyberpunk stuff, apparently the characters you have for this game gain up 30 plus bonus compared to normal base avatars, which I guess makes sense since these are fantastical with like sword fighting shit and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's swords and sorcery. You're playing an MMO.
And mind you, you can keep your old avatar, but like, it couldn't hurt to throw a few things on.
I think it's a
You won't
little
have
silly
access
you
to
can
when you
keep the
leave
old
Nero.
avatar because of because of how programming works, but still, it's fair.
Yeah. But you can't take the your MMO avatar out because you know
No, they can
it's a
even be
game.
used out there, but you wouldn't have access unless they've been to this game before.
hmm These are the basic enemies
Well, these are the basic classes that you can pick.
or classes. I thought these were the enemy types.
No, like if you're playing this game, you pick one of these types and you gain it.
Skirmisher. You've got a sword. Sneak. You've got a dagger. Sorcerer. Fireball.
Yeah. And then it just goes into the areas like here's Port City. These are the things that
The
you can do
potion
here.
of healing.
Yep.
I just noticed that right away.
Open Plains, which is right next to it, which leads to Ridgetown, which is just another place. Hey, you can fight orcs.
Ugh.
There's also the orc war chief you have to fight.
Also, apparently they're going with the Japanese thing because in this case, orcs are pigmen.
Yep. Also, you're saving a dude, member of the Death Legion. Adrian Cold is one of the players fighting the orcs. So yeah, if you actually try to help him, he becomes helpful.
But yeah, like since it's a fun adventure, do you want to continue like reading the entire thing? This is a much more longer one than the
This
last
is a
one.
bit on the long side, I think. Chat,
It's like
do you wish or do you want us to move on? We
it's
can.
almost like it's almost like a mini campaign almost.
That's the point. It's supposed to be a mini
Yeah.
campaign. Yeah, this is supposed to be a short, a short campaign. As you try to grief the shit out of a teenager who deserves it.
Incidentally, at the command of an eldritch hive mind.
Yep. So after you beat his
His
final
boss.
bad guy, which is the dragon, I think it's the Abraxas the dragon. Yeah. He screams at the group for ruining everything. You ruined everything.
If Abraxas is dead, okay, I say, ooh, there's actually a thing here. Look, I'm not doing the whole thing, but there's some interesting thing. If released, remember, Abraxas is the name of their master. Is essentially he turned his virus into the final boss. If you release it, it launches itself through the roof and flies away. The path is clear. The stairs spiral upwards several floors and reach an equally large. If you kill Abraxas, though, the floor is ridden with its remnants. Leston is desperately trying to rebuild it through his interface. He's creating the ruined everything. Leston knows he has no more protection from the first mind without his virus. He's not unreasonable if the group wants to talk, but he is desperate.
Yep.
If he can keep him, he will back down. He will never turn himself over to the police because he knows he won't just. He doesn't want to. He wants to get into college.
I mean, you're dead anyway, kid. Like, really?
If asked, he wants to. He gives the group his address in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Using this address anywhere in cyberspace means the First Mind will intercept it, and now knows where he is too. If they defeat Leston, and no, don't talk to him, and hit him with a location tracker, he's locked off, and his address is sent to the group and the First Mind. They send the First Mind does fulfill its promise and give you the money, as long as they got the thing and Abraxas is dead. If Abraxas was freed, they'll only get half of it, with word of the dragon being the explanation that it's still out there. The first mind ever gains Leston's address. Their chosen will be there to greet him first before you ever arrive.
Yeah, so congratulations, you griefed a nerd. You griefed a nerd who was griefing a MMO and killed him. He kind of deserved it. He was an idiot.
Also, once again, another thing: never give away your. Remember, kids, never give away your real name and information online. You never know who's listening.
Oh yeah, and hey, I think this is actually the end. I'm
This is
surprised.
literally we're at the kick. This is the end. This is
Huh.
the end. All we have are the Kickstarter people.
So here's all the people who gracefully funded this book for existing. Like I said, it's kind of a shame that this one never really expanded beyond what it was. And here's the character sheet that you can have too.
Well, that's not true. That's not true. Robotic Age did get a supplement.
Actually, 2 of them, and I have both. So that's the end of Robotic Age, everyone.
Or at least the base version.
Yep. Oh, it's only been an hour. We could probably take a look at least at one of the other ones.
That's what you want. You're gonna
Hey, Chad, do you wish to?
You would have to send it to me.
Do you wish to, Greg?
That's it. I'm cool with it. Just I'll need that PDF myself.
Fair enough.
Once I read with the rest. Once I read with chat.
I think what I'll go with is fully customized because it's a bit shorter. If we're doing it, which I think we will. It's only been an hour.
If that's the case, well, it's the case.
All right, I'll hand you over fully customized, which is it's a different book. And it's actually not the Mars setting. I feel like saving that one for a bit later since it's a bit bigger. So with that in mind, let's get this set up so that it's everything as it should be. Here we go. Robotic Age fully customized. And they're reusing assets from the original. This is just level 1 thug to level 50 boss.
It's a supplement, so
It's a little supplement. I feel like the Mars section's a little too big. It's almost as big as the Robotic Age itself.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason fully customized exists is because this allows you to customize your game to be more like all those movies that we mentioned. Which, hey, kudos to Preston. He really thought through on people who would just use it for other things. Like you wanted to do SWAT, you could do SWAT this way.
Or in this case, war games, because the first one is about hacking.
Yep.
Hacking is now more complex but rewarding with new advanced hacking rules. Now everything has an innate hacking threshold similar to catastrophic damage threshold. The numbers required by successful hacking rolls required. Little enemies are about the same as a general consumer good. 4. Medium and player characters are 8, and big enemies and larger is 12. In order to hack something, whether it's a console or person, you need physical contact with it. Then you need to then you need to make the hacking roll, and if you succeed, you lower their threshold by 1. The damage lasts for 10 minutes, after which the programming will reset to its base number.
And if you beat its hack threshold down to 0, you gain basic access, which allows you to read details and information. And with basic access, you can open doors, control someone else's vehicle, give commands. You can hack the planet effectively. Oh, they even have genetically modified humans, which I think is a Mars thing. Like, if we read Mars, we'll probably learn more about genetically modified humans.
If you're not made of metal, you can't get hacked. Once you have basic access, you can continue to hack something to produce more effects. For instance, by doing one effect, you can cause it to stutter, making it just kind of glitch out, essentially.
You can also just brainwash them.
Inception. You place thoughts in them. You just place thoughts in your target's mind that aren't real, but if they believe them, it might. Or cause catastrophic damage.
Or you could just make them go to sleep, or even make them change allegiance. You could do the Age of Empires Walla Lull trick.
All the following designation counts as android for other rules. The battle class androids were designed to fight other robots. They are the main fighting force of the android resistance, the combat mechs.
Mhm.
The supports, these are the medics and the engineers.
If you're making a team of combat androids, there's always one of its type.
Resistant members, these are androids not with no specific purpose, but who have been a part of the resistance for a while enough that they're tough.
By the way, I have no clue what series he's basing this one on. I'll be completely honest. And last but not least, he could be one of the aliens.
Which I'm fair saying is also again from the Mars setting, but
Hack effect arms, which allows you to do things like take
you can
control of
hack
the
with your
arms.
arm.
You can hack their legs. You can make them dance. You could do the Bruce Almighty trick with their lips by making them make stupid noises.
Or say things that they didn't mean to.
New body upgrades, black ice. Elimination unit. I have no idea what this setting's supposed to be based on. I'm just kind of rolling with it. Hacking tag, tracking device. .exe. Okay, this one's more clearly based on stuff like what was it? Oh yeah, the Sword Art Online. Mega Man Battle Network.
Matrix a bit.
.hack exe. Yeah.
Matrix.
Hack/sign, I mean. I guess Code Lyoko as well.
The Matrix.
New hacking rules. In the digital world, hackers like to think they're king. The real test is trying to alter yourself and others, so they go into details about hacking cyberspace so you can create new
infrastructure. Allows you to create new structures inside cyberspace, essentially creating your own domains.
Yep.
Every three successes alters 3 square yards. Protection. Essentially adding firewalls to stop people from taking down your infrastructure. Every 6 successes adds a level firewall. And then hack yourself.
Yeah, hack yourself.
Where you just change how you look, alter your abilities, and even change your designation and operation.
It says that it's aliens versus androids. Any references to that which you know of? I'll be honest, I don't really have an idea on what they're trying to, especially with all the hacking they do and the resistance.
Hey, wait, we got a new GM. I'm gonna actually read this. Avatar, you are purely a digital being, but you are only alive as you are only as alive as an android is because
Just
you are digital. Yeah, you only exist in cyberspace. You have 0 structure but 100 core. You have the same baseline as an android and plus 50 thing to spend. But obviously, you're stuck. Avatar and operator. You are a duo, a partnership between a digital avatar and a human operator. The human cannot enter cyberspace the same way an avatar cannot leave it, so they must work together to accomplish more. Create 2 characters, a human and an avatar, using the standard character creation rules, except they do not gain 80 CP for the human or 50 CP for the avatar. So in exchange for eventually getting two different characters, both your characters will be severely limited compared to what they could be.
Digital area projectors. They're a complex device about the size of a suitcase that brings parts of cyberspace to... Oh god, this is Digimon. I think this is original series Digimon. Because I think they go into the real world at one point, or at least they try to.
I thought that was the weird-ass movie.
I don't know. It kind of gets confusing. But yeah, you can bring the cyberspace to real life. Double soul. You could be when the 2 avatars are in sync with each other. They could be forced to merge.
You can bring your Hatsune Miku waifu, 2D waifu into the real world.
Oh yeah, with the projector. Double soul, I think, is based on. It's based on those Transformers things where they fuse together, or Steven Universe, I think.
Well, what's sadder, Adam? Bringing your girlfriend as a projection, or bringing them as as essentially bring it in as a Photoshop from your weird DS game?
I don't know. Is it as weird as doing a fusion dance with her and becoming one?
Kinky. New body upgrades, double soul.
Yeah, I just covered that basically.
Yeah, digital. You're sorry, just battle chip. Pre-programmed digital weapon that is mass-produced and installed in any avatar.
Oh yeah, that's a nod to Mega Man Battle Network.
That is definitely HUD.
HOD.
Oh, HUD.
Be
This
more like
customization package is
popular.
designed to help you tailor your robotic age to be more like
We're
popular video games where cavemen hunt robotic dinosaurs with spears and arrows.
Oh god, what's the name of that game with the lady that does that?
Zero Horizon Dawn?
Zero Horizon Dawn. Yeah, is that where we're going with?
Oh, I might Horizon Zero Dawn.
Horizon Zero Dawn is that where we're going? This is before that though.
Hunt the biggest prey. I guess this is for people who, for some reason, wanted to really lean into the post-apocalypse part.
Maybe it's your Hunter from the Future. Maybe it's
Maybe.
that classic 80s B movie.
Rules change. The old world is gone, and so is the tech that ran it. Almost all upgrades and weapon enhancements are unavailable and must be rediscovered. As they explore and hunt, they will gain known technologies that can be used to take upgrades and weapon enhancement. Every time the group kills something with new technology, they may spend an hour studying it to gain one of the unknown technologies. Blah blah blah. Every group of littles produces one tech. One medium produces two mediums produces one. Every big or higher produces two techs. So you gotta hunt the dinos.
Yep, and you get stuff like portable, dash, elemental protection, any granted by designation.
Also, everyone's human.
Yep. Due to the rough nature of existence and some genetic engineering their ancestors did, they do have structure though.
They have 100, in fact.
Which is
Well, no,
double what they
everyone has.
normally do.
No, yeah, well, yeah. Characters are created exactly like normal, but they have only the weapon and upgrades enhancements can be taken from the known technology list.
Could also be a bit reference. It could also be a slight nod to Metroid now that I think about it, since you gain powers by killing enemies.
Character progression, advancement split into two difference: character points and kill points. So this one's much more combat oriented.
Yeah. One represents meeting people, advancing. The other represents murder.
Attendance. Also, the rewards are just upped in general. Just showing up gives you 5 CP.
I think it's because humans are a lot frailer, so getting wrecked by dinosaur robots, As kill points, you use it to buy upgrades, weapons, and armor.
But no, they can't be this. They cannot. You can't. However, these are only used to upgrade your equipment, not your actual skills.
I feel like this is a worse way of doing things, but that's just me.
I think it's
I
supposed to
get it,
represent that as
but
you kill robots, you scavenge their gear to make your gear better.
no, I get it. It's just I feel like splitting EXP into 2 bits like that is kind of dumb. Then again, these are just rule variations. You don't have to pick these at all.
It reminds me of Cyberpunk had the core experience and non-core experience.
Yeah, I just kind of ignored that. I run a Cyberpunk game every now and again, guys. Actually, I try to run it consistently. I just kind of ignore that and just kind of give EXP as EXP.
No, like it's handed the same amount, but you split into different things and you spend it on. So, instance,
Yeah, I just kind of looked at that and said, no.
Oh, I don't remember.
I don't
Anyway,
remember. I don't think about it.
Yeah, I don't think you never said a thing on it. But anyway, with the tribes of this world, the Nature Tribe, a matriarchal society that lives with nature. They only take as they need, but and fear the influences of others. From this get rapid attack as a weapon enhancement, as well as emergency first aid patch. The Sun Tribe, the desert-dwelling folk that worship the sun and the energy he provides. Patriarchal warmongers, but they're also a hub of trade and culture. They know how to charge their weapons, not like literally charge like D&D, but charge it with like energy.
Yep.
And and their weapons have much more extended range and abilities. The Mountain Tribe, the tribe of northern craftsmen and miners. They love to gather materials and techniques to make their own stuff better. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, there's
And then metal.
energy.
New upgrade includes data focus, an ancient device built to enhance human senses. Only one focus can be used at a time. This one grants the following effects: automatically translates all languages, archives everything heard or read with 100% accuracy, and gain a plus 10 bonus on your next skill. You can also get electronic bonuses on body. These are just like things that enhance all of your senses.
Yeah. Yeah, these are kind of what all these things do.
Enemy designation changes. All robotic enemies in H0D have an elemental focus. Robo crocodiles, for example, would focus on the fluid element, while a robo sauropod might have the explosive. How much each of the elements each robotic beast has is based on its size. Small enemies must have elemental protection. Medium have that.
Everything has elemental protection. Everything has some degree of elemental
Yep.
protection.
Mediums have a weapon of the same element. Large have one weapon of the same, one weapon of a different. This one kind of seemed cool, but I think this one's a bit weaker than the other two so far.
R.
Rated R for ruination.
Yeah, combine. This customization is to tailor your robotic age to where
This
several
is Power
popular
Rangers.
franchises
This
where
is
teams
Power Rangers.
yeah different colored uniforms to fight giant robots. Fight
This
with
is
giant robots.
Power Rangers combined with Voltron.
Mm-hmm. It has your civilian persona, your hero persona, and your mecha.
Okay, this one I can roll
Biggie's
with.
gonna regret not being here. Where I'm
Oh,
gonna have
don't
to get
worry.
the one that
Biggie's
says
gonna crawl
mecha.
in at like 10:30, right when we're about to end, and say, "Hey guys, what'd I miss?"
The mechs.
So yeah, you have a Civi persona.
And of course, and getting to choose your color gives you character points.
Oh yeah, here they are. Here's the colors.
Pink isn't an option. Pink isn't an option.
Oh, that's a shame. Oh, I know why. This is the Voltron coloring. This is exactly the Voltron coloring. That's why.
New body upgrades. Heroic transformation. In a flash of light, you perform. In a heroic pose, you gain your super suit that makes you stronger, faster, tougher than you were before. This heroic form keeps your previous form's general skills, combats. That's 100% Power Rangers.
Definitely. You get Combiner, which requires the mecha. Yeah, you just combine into a super mech to destroy the even bigger ones. No, I like this. I like this a lot more than the previous one.
Stupid. I love it.
It's dumb.
Mech
That's why.
designation. Giant mecha needs multiple pilots. Cannot use fighting styles, and reduces all non-mech damage by 3.
Yeah.
Dual controlling a mech pilot. Multi-controlling a mech.
Example: Red
Just
tells
regular.
everyone it's time to combine, and each pilot starts the combination on their action. The combiners have a total of 120 levels.
I'm scrolling through the rules, but I just saw this. New enemy designation, Kaiju.
Come on, don't you want to punch Godzilla as a Voltron? There's also giant mecha, so you can also fight other giant robots.
Little Kaiju, medium Kaiju, big Kaiju.
Well, yeah, you gotta fight the giant monsters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I like this. This is cute.
Also,
this reminds me that I should at one point show off Giant Monster Attack, which is a kaiju-focused RPG.
Oh, by the way, the next one is Terminator, because it literally says this one would be more like a popular robot franchise that starts with T. In this
it's
setting,
not Terminator, baby. Race of giant robots who've been trapped in a civil war? That ain't Terminator. That's Transformers. More than meets the eye.
I'm a moron.
Yeah, this is Transformers, baby. Here we go.
No, I thought they were going Transformers.
I just realized that I'm geeking out over something that I would critique Derek for, but I think this is because this is an alternate form of play. And it's not like this is actually painful because car droids, Deceidatrons, that's pretty bad. Let's be fair. trying to come up with a Decepticon equivalent, that's pretty cringe. Deceidatrons. That's pretty embarrassing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Uh,
So this is all. I'm just going with it. It's stupid, but yeah. Anyway, the creator is now Allegiance. You pick between the car droids and the Deceidatrons.
horrible. I hate
Yeah.
those names. I love the concept
I'm not even
because
reading
I'm a
through
nerd,
like.
but this is
I'm not even
embarrassing.
read. I'm not even reading the crunch at this point. I just want to see what stupid shit gets added.
So, scientist, scout, leader, and soldier. Yeah, based on Transformers, that's fair. Weapon range changes. Well, yeah, because you're a big giant robot, of course. You can jump this
Throwing.
far, lifting. Here's your distances. How throws changed.
And the second one is actually, it's still just Transformers because I said the war between the car droids and the Deceitrons stretches from the Earth to the Red Planet. New abilities, new forms, new rivals. The war from Mars has begun.
Oh no, is this? Oh no.
New designation: the Insecta Droid.
I think this might be based on Transformers Prime. Derek would call them Auta apostrophe bots and Deceptuties apostrophe Ticons.
Yeah,
He would.
you're right. And that's I hate you for knowing that, for
You're dead
understanding
on.
that.
You're dead on with that one. Oh, Coyote. The core book is just nudge, nudge, wink, wink. It's a references. This book is, hey, remember X? Well, this allows you to play an X-based campaign. I think that's what ultimately kind of saves this, is that this is just an add-on that you don't have to buy at all. You
Mm-hmm.
don't have to. This is just, hey, do you want to play basically Transformers? Well, take what you have from the original book and then just use these rules. I think that's what kind of helps it.
Oh,
Although
uh,
let's be honest, Deceitatron is a horrible name.
it's amazing. Armament transformation. You turn yourself into a gun.
Oh yeah, yeah, like Megatron does. Remember? He turns
Yeah.
into a big gun. The best part is he always hands himself off to Starscream. The guy who wants to kill him.
Who never shoots any? Who never can shoot at the broadside of a barn?
No, that's Shockwave. Starscream at least has aim. No, like in the Gen 1 Transformers, Starscream is millions of times more accurate than Shockwave. Oh god.
Nope. I
Oh
guess
yeah, Neutron. Yeah. Vialloy armor. Oh, Headmasters! Wow. Wow, Preston. I didn't expect you to bust out the fucking Headmasters.
new suggested quirks. Irradiadite +20. This character can never roll stealth. His color scheme is vibrant and garish.
Oh my god,
Fanatic.
there's everything here.
You believe greatly in the race war. Maybe too much.
Yeah?
Turncoat. You switch sides.
Yeah, that happens. Oh, you know what they're doing that I think that he should have totally had the equivalent of the Null Rays in here. If you're wondering, Starscream's most well-known weapon that he personally invented, according to himself, he probably stole it, is the Null Ray, which is a stunning beam that knocks you out. It also fires like a sniper rifle. Electrite crystals, because we can't use the term energon. That would be we'd be legally sued.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is cute.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh, is it more
The next one.
Transformers?
This customization package is designed to tailor your Robotic Age campaign to be like a popular anime series where humans fight to retake the surface from animal people that roll over them. And the name is TDL.
I know what this one's based on.
Tapping into spiral power. You will retake the surface and pierce the heaven with your drill. Oh, god fucking damn it.
So what do you think?
Corruption has been changed to spiral power.
What do you think of? What do you think's more cringe, Derek or Preston?
Actually, I think this is more cringe. Derek is just. Ugh.
True. Plus, remember, you don't have to buy this one. This is an attachment that you can choose if you want to just play that game.
Yeah, this is cringe, but it's blatant with its cringe. The other one is trying to pretend it's Derek just tries to pretend it isn't while
Now
also
let's be
really
fair.
doing it.
Preston could totally be sued for using spiral power because this is pretty clearly based on a thing.
Well, spiral power might have been like a reference to something else, which is why it can't be trademarked.
True.
We don't know.
God damn it, I have a
However,
housefly. Oh well.
it's a kill or kill me world, common corruption. However, those who act selflessly with purpose discover a new form of energy called spiral power.
No one knows what it is, but it's an energy that can be tracked and measured.
Mm-hmm.
There's no limit on what it can do.
Corruption bar is now used to gauge your spiral power and will mark any time you act selflessly with purpose or by following the rule of cool.
So this one, you want to have spiral power.
Helping someone with a speech or action, +1. Enacting the rule of cool, as described in the core rulebook. Protecting someone or conveniencing yourself to help another.
Mercy.
Giving mercy, and as well as a crowning moment when you do something really badass.
Oh, and last but not least, self-sacrifice.
Doesn't necessarily have to get killed, but
you're screwing yourself over.
Mm-hmm. And how you spend it. Whenever you wish to spend your spiral points, choose one of the options below and resolve its effect immediately. Spending it, this is a free action and can be used anytime. Just know that a single person can only be affected by spiral power once per round, no matter the source.
Also, from Coyote and Impsit, yep, this is more enjoyable, and Impsit makes a good point. See, these are individual setting adjustments. It's not all at once in a horrible grab bag.
Yeah, that'd be terrible. Spending it, self-correction. By tapping into a small, you improve any outcome. You get to reroll.
Mm-hmm. Skill
Simple
boost,
as.
you just improve something by 20, which means you can go above and beyond.
Combat enhancement. Your weapon is more powerful. Your weapon was more powerful for the rest of the day.
Same with boost, which means you hit harder. Mm-hmm. Unlock potential, you just upgrade. Reality alteration. You could touch the fabric of reality itself and shape it to your whims.
When you activate this power, you are allowed to change one aspect of any rule in the game, barring the ones that include spiral power. Anything. For instance, reducing the range of CP cost, removing the mecha requirement for an upgrade.
So you can just choose to break the universe with your fists.
Or saying that no, even though you rolled a 1 on your damage, that's a crit.
If it goes too far, the GM is allowed to say no.
No, all attacks crit today, right now.
The GM is allowed to say no, though, sometimes.
Mm-hmm. If it goes too far. Also, this is a stop to wishing for more wishes situation.
So yeah, you can't
change the spiral paint because you can't change how spiral power works. Your new designations: humans and beastmen. Humans have more core like the other thing, and you get a free mecha with no upgrades that you can spend freely on. The mech replaces the bonus CP humans normally get.
Yep, and beastmen are genetically modified humans for the Mars book, so you do need the Mars book for more details. Permanent corruption now has no effect, though.
Yeah. Also, they have a lower maximum spiral power because they're just not able to.
They're bad guys, yeah.
Spiral healing. You may spend spiral power to heal yourself. New body upgrades, CP. If you have it installed, you can heal your wounds with spiral power, heal your mech with spiral power, or give yourself a spiral battery to your mecha, or can store it.
Yeah, which is really useful.
Mm-hmm.
Anti-spiral.
Mm-hmm. The Beastman shit. Yep.
Yep, and it's pretty nasty. X. Oh boy.
Yeah, I the second I said it, I knew you were going to.
Oh boy.
Robot. Plus 30 CP to a character creation.
No.
Skills.
It's more like a popular robot video game series where androids built by rival scientists fight against 8 enemy androids for everlasting peace. I wonder what series this is based on.
Robot, you were designed for a specific task, and although you have free will, you were restricted by the laws of robotics.
Can't call them robot masters though, because that's a legal term.
The Biroids gain a free element in your first weapon and the element of protection. You are a step up from androids because you look like part of an animal. Differentiate yourself from humans.
Actually, Reploids can look like humans, but it's fair. The Mavericks don't.
New designation change. Androids gain the abilities for free: assimilate weapon, assimilate element, or assimilate style.
Well, of
In the
course.
X setting, androids are more widespread and upsetting. Many join police units known as the Hunters to stop crazy, malfunctioning, or irregular robots.
Oh, that's clever. Because the term Maverick in Japan, they're not called that. They're called irregulars. That's clever.
New body upgrades. Teleport. Emergency transmission. When you're about to get blown, when you're about to get nuked, you just emergency teleport. When your core reaches 0,
I mean, you're dead though, but still.
you can be rebuilt.
Well, your body can be reused, but you can't. You're gone.
Well, no, as it says here. Well, no, in the case of emergency transmission, that's where you save your core. So I think the
It's to
idea
represent
is
the
you should have
live
both.
system.
Yeah, you should probably have both.
Ideally.
Well, emergency transmission before emergency teleport. But both is nice, so you take both with you. New rule: armor are a way to reward your players.
Oh, that's a nod to how in X you can get you get armor.
Corruption changes. The virus.
Physical form known as the virus. Androids and bioroids corrupted by the virus become carriers and spread it to others. Some evil fiends have managed to create mobile infection drones that spread it to anything they touch. When you gain 10 points of corruption, you instantly lose 10 core capacity, but gain 10 structure as it strengthens. And when they reach 20, they instantly lose another 10 core and again another 10. They also gain the charge upgrade or the Martian charge technology upgrade if they already had charge. And if you reach 30, they instantly lose control of their character who goes crazy.
Oh, I noticed something here that I feel like is a reference to something. When a robot or human reaches 30 corruption, they fall into a coma, and if not cured within 48 hours, the virus will give them a core death. Is that a reference to any Mega Man story? It feels like that is.
Mega Man 10, Roboenza.
Okay.
Also, technically the Sigma virus from the X series. It might also be nods from outside because there's also Zero, which I'm not familiar with.
And that's where we end. And that's where this ends with a Mega Man reference. Giant Mega Man reference.
A giant Mega Man reference, which is a perfect send-off and a very pleasant palate cleanser for myself. So, what do you think of... what do you think, since we finally finished the book, what level of quality would you rate this?
Are we going to use our normal system, or are we going to be somewhat serious?
Somewhat serious. Or our normal system, it don't matter.
I'll do both. I'd rate this a... first off, this is an addendum to anything, I think. Better than expected. Which means just to steal a line from a certain hack, my expectations were subverted, but in a way that didn't make me just kind of sit in my kind of slump. I'd rate this a good, but not an excellent, but it's a solid good with our normal system. And if I had to use the rating system, it's an 8.
So, more seriously, I wasn't sure how good this would have been. I actually did an early skimming a couple years ago, actually, on this. And I remember sporking the history they had just because of how they set up the American Civil War, which I felt was kind of badly handled. I never really got on past that. Now, I'd say mechanically, it's pretty solid. I would say it takes a lot of getting your head around, though, because there's this kind of rock, paper, scissors element pattern with the weapons. Like Fire Claw, you need to counter with, I forget what I think like the equivalent of water. So there's a bit of a rock paper scissor system that you have to memorize, which makes it a little more clunky in some respects. It's not as smooth, but it's mechanically flexible and it's not too complex. I can't rate this amazing. I really enjoyed reading this, but I can't because of that kind of innate clunkiness. But because of the ability to modify and change and the fact that it covers mechanics fairly well, I have to say it's good. And if I'm using numbers, I'd say yeah, about 8. 8 out of 10. We don't usually use numbers because numbers are bullcrap, but no, it's a genuinely fun book. I'm actually happy we found it. Like I said, I kind of wish that it had a little more prevalence because honestly, I think there are people that genuinely want to do a more sci-fi version of sci-fi, like not cyberpunk, but full on I am robot. And this is besides, I think what was it called? Eclipse Phase. I think this is the only one that kind of really allows you to get into that, at least in a simple mechanical way. But no, I'm honestly really happy we got to cover this, and I'm glad that we can close the book on this until we read the Mars setting, which that'll be a while out. So as for what we're going to stream next week, not entirely sure. I know one thing. Eventually, you guys are going to see more Chalt. That's why we compared it to each other, because we, not even 2 days ago, did a Chalt video recording. The Purple Worm Dungeon in some ways is better than the previous one we did, but it's in a lot of ways worse, and you'll see that when it comes out.
It's pretty amazing how you can be worse, but also better, but also worse in some way.
It's kind of amazing. Like I said, not sure what we'll do next week. I actually might hold it on the Discord. I might actually hold a small poll on the Discord and cover a couple of grab bag books that you guys can vote on. Actually, might be pretty fun. And actually, for those any new people, there's a Discord link at the bottom of this stream. You can click it in the description. It's only good for about a week, but you should be good for until then. And